is April 22nd, and we're on our way back up to Virginia. If you watched the last video, we were up there on Monday, which was the 19th, so we're heading back. Had a few things around home to take care of. So the weather's changed dramatically. it's in the 30s, so it dropped from the 50s down to the 30s, so a 20-degree weather swing. I was hoping to leave the time to be able to possibly roost a bird. If not, I went back to the topo maps and the satellite photography on this piece of public land, this WMA that I'm hunting, and I picked out a couple more locations, and we did some more scouting before we left last time after the 12 o'clock, because you can't hunt after 12 on the first part of the season in Virginia. And we found some more spots. You saw those jakes that we picked up with our cell phone. So it's a little after, it's 4:03. So we're getting ready to head out, and the game plan is go in if we can, get there in time to roost the bird. If not, then we'll go to those areas that we had picked out on the satellite. So we'll see you in a few hours. Okay, it's about 6:46. Just got into Virginia again. Sun's already up, so not gonna be able to roost a bird. So we're gonna go into those spots that we'd already picked out. And we actually hunted the last time where we saw that scratch sign. So we're gonna try to hustle down in there, get set up, make a few calls. We're gonna call sparingly again. And hopefully this time we'll get something to come in. Virginia Wildlife keeps these access trails cleared out pretty good. So we're going to keep going down in here a little bit further. Maybe about a half a mile. Alright, we've been at this spot for about 40 minutes. As you can tell, there's fresh scratch sign in here within the last couple of days, because we were in here on Monday. Today is Thursday, so I know they've been in here, but can't get anything to respond, so I'm gonna go to the next spot. Okay, this is the second location this morning. It's about 9:15. I'm gonna sit here probably about 10 o'clock. As you can see, I got a slight, it's not a ridge, it's just a little hill coming off this ridge. You can see the way they've got this cut. They've got access lanes all in here. And the turkeys are scratching on those, from what I found. So I'm gonna sit here, but I'm gonna change my strategy. It was colder than normal this morning. It's about 30 degrees. And the wind was blowing really hard last night. So it was probably in the sheltered areas. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a light yelp, but I'm gonna do it more frequent than I have been. I want to see if that changes anything. Hopefully for the better. Well, we're about a mile back in the woods, back on this WMA. This is the deepest part, and this is a section that's all wooded. And I set up on one location, called for about 40-45 minutes, and we didn't see anything at all. So then what I decided to do was I would hike in here, and about every 50 to 75 yards, I would yelp and then listen. And we haven't heard anything, so we're gonna go to the next spot. Okay, we made it back to the truck. We just come out of this section of the WMA, and we had 2 setups. Didn't see or hear anything. Did some more scouting. And there is scratch sign in there, but it's still a day or 2 old. So I know the birds are in there. So if you remember, this is the burn over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna step out there, make a few calls. Maybe I can get something to respond. If I don't, then I've got another location on the map that I'll put a pin, and we're gonna drive to that spot and set up there. 12 o'clock, yeah, you have to stop hunting here. I've probably said that 2 or 3 times. But we actually set up in 5 or 6 different spots. Videoed some of them, I didn't video all of them. And found some scratch sign. I think I heard 1 gobble, and I think it was one of those volunteer gobbles. It wasn't induced by my calling or anything like that. And I wasn't that far from the bird, so I tried to set up a call and nothing came in. So this is why it's called hunting, not shooting. You know, when I was able to shoot those 2 birds in 2 days in North Carolina, that was the exception. That wasn't the rule. So come out here and get your tail kicked a couple of times and put your feet back on the ground and realize you got to get back to work. So we're just going to stick with it. We're going to try to do a little bit more scouting. It's been a cold, windy morning. The temperatures were around 30 degrees this morning. And we went to probably 6 different setups. And actually did 3 setups in 1 location on this WMA. And I'm just actually going, I'm not on the state maintained road, I'm just on the WMA road right here. And then we moved and went to another location and did about 3 setups. I haven't seen any hens or anything really other than those 2 jakes. So they're in here somewhere. And when you get days like this and days like Monday, it brings you back to reality. We're going to do a little bit more scouting, and if we can, we're going to try to roost some birds tonight. We'll see what happens. Maybe our luck will change. Okay, real quick, I want to discuss our first 2 morning hunts. You know, we had several setups on those 2 morning hunts in Virginia, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but in Virginia, the first part of the season, you can only hunt until noon. So 12 o'clock, that's it. So it's basically morning hunts until midday, and then you got to stop. So we had several locations that we set up on in this WMA, and we did basically virtual scouting before we went in there, picked out several points, went to those points, and did find some sign. However, the day that it rained, we went back in there, and when we did some more scouting, the fields, the woods, logging roads, etc., didn't find any turkey tracks. I didn't find any feathers. I didn't find any droppings. Now, we did see the 2 jakes. That was the only 2 birds I saw, and I never heard a hen yelp and never heard a gobble except maybe 1 time. And like I said, I wasn't calling. The bird just gobbled on its own. So got me to thinking, you know, got the wheels turning a little bit. So I went back and looked at the Virginia website and looked at the bird density. And the bird density says, okay, the county that I'm in, the bird density is good. However, there's only about 2,700 acres of WMA land that I'm hunting. And as far as public land, period, 2,700 acres. So, okay, that's interesting. So now let's go look at harvest by county. And then when you look at overall harvest, the county I was in was actually in the top 10. However, when you say top 10, there was about 300 birds in that county. But when you look at overall for the state, 94% of the birds that were killed were or harvested on private land. Okay, now that's huge. And if you look at, what's that, 94.6%, so you got 5.4% left over, and you divide that between the state, the federal, and then the national forest. So it's going to be relatively low. So that kind of gives you an idea. Now, I can tell you different things. It all depends on how you slice the data and analyze this. It might mean that, most of the hunters only hunt private land. They don't hunt the public land, okay? It could mean there's not that many birds on the public land. So there's different ways you can look at it, but, looking at it from the standpoint of the actual sign that I saw while I was there hunting, I'm going to make a move. I'm going to make a change, okay? Now, we're right around in the peak of the breeding, so the toms are pretty much locked up with the hens. And I think the last week in April, from what I've researched, is really good in Virginia. So we're going to try that, but we're going to try a different location. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll probably go over to Tennessee, and Tennessee has the all-day hunt still. Both states are 3 birds, 1 bird per day. But still yet, we want to go back to Virginia and try to fine-tune what we're doing there so we can be successful. Now, as I said, we did really good in North Carolina, and that's the exception. That's not the rule. At some point, the reality checks in, and you got to realize, hey, I got to do a little bit more work. It goes back to that old peppered saying that I stated in that first harvest video. So we're going to take a look at this. We're not going to get burned out. This is all part of hunting. Obviously, everybody wants to be successful. So we're going to look at the data. We're going to formulate a different plan. I'm already doing that now. I've got a couple of counties that I've pinpointed and a couple of national forests that I'm looking at. So we're going to do the same thing. We'll do a virtual scout, put some points in on our map, and we'll look at based on the terrain and everything that's going on, and we'll try to put ourselves in the best position for success. But, sometimes that doesn't always happen. But, our goal is to go harvest a bird. So we'll see you next time.